Hello, everyone. It is Self-Care Sunday, Self-Care Edition. How are you? And you, but especially you. Yes, how are you doing tonight? Tell me about it. That is what I want to know. I want to know how you're doing. What are you grateful for this Sunday, the 16th of August? I am grateful to be here with you tonight. A little more ish than eight, but all things considered, how I can be not that bad. I mean, sometimes you just, the calendar and me and everything else. And actually, we snuck out for a bite to eat with the family. We snuck out tonight, and then rolled over the watch and was like, "Ooh, we need to get going. We need to get going here." Is what happened. So those things happen. Let me find what I was talking about here. Boom, I had an idea for tonight. Actually, I had a couple ideas. But it is ooh, where did my screen go here? Not that screen. That screen. Boom. Yes, on this Sunday night. I can't believe we're halfway through the month already, just over halfway. Just over the halfway point. Just a tiny bit over the halfway point this month. And here we are. Here we are. And I look at that and I'm like, ooh, this is where we're at and what we're doing. And August is shaping up good for a lot of stores. I've seen a lot of good results for the first part of August. Some normal challenges and things, some staffing issues, some things, but the almighty American consumer is still shopping, is still consigning. That's been a big issue. Lots and lots of inventory. Lots and lots of inventory out there. But lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. So, the overall things are good. And we are excited about it. Excited about it. So, let's get started tonight. Let's grab our opening quote tonight. Let me flip a couple pages here. Uh, do, 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 do. Ooh, I like this. I like this. I like our opening quote. Never miss a good chance to shut up. Never miss a good chance to shut up. That is a quote from, oh, excuse me. That is a quote from Will Rogers. That is a quote from Will Rogers. So, tonight, my main topic is about 500K. $500,000. I got 500,000 reasons for you to tune in tonight. 500,000 reasons to tune in tonight? Uh, yeah, I have 500,000 reasons. It's a funny number, whether you're looking for $500,000 in sales or you're wishing you could earn $500,000. Boy, if my income was 500,000, if I were this, and I know I have other people tuning in and say, "Oh my God, if I could just have 50,000, I'd be happy." Um, all of those things are true. All of those things are true. And it is a different feeling, a different thought when you think about that. And how do you make that number your number? Well, it's really an illusion, and that's what we want to talk about tonight. Because I want to. There was a recent Goldman Sachs study. And this is what brought this number, and I'm going to bring it around to resale. So give me a minute here. I'm going to bring it around to resale. But 40%, 40%. This number is from Goldman Sachs. It's been reported in several different outlets. You could find it in the Wall Street Journal. You could find it, even Dave Ramsey talks about it. But it's been reported a lot of places, but the source is actually Goldman Sachs study. And 40%, 40%, nearly half of all households in the United States earning $500,000 or more a year are living paycheck to paycheck. Think about that for a second. Nearly half of all people earning $500,000 a year or more. Okay? That's the top 1% of earners. Okay, the top 1%. You know, we had this whole thing a few years back where being part of the 1%, the 1%, okay, feel like they're one bad month from being broke. Okay, that's what that means. Okay, living paycheck to paycheck is like one bad month from being broke, that you can't handle a major something going wrong, you know, a major home repair, a home repair. You know, I mean, home repairs are all relative, and that's really what this is. Okay, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And most people, when I talk about this, think it's a typo. They think I'm making this number up, but it's really a Goldman Sachs study. Okay. And so, oops, hang on a second here. I lost my screen there for a second. Uh, but you know, so as their income went up, everything attached to it did too. Their lifestyle grew. You know, every raise got spent before it hit their bank account. Okay. And the goalposts kept on moving. They never get ahead. Ahead keeps moving because the baseline keeps moving. Okay, it keeps moving farther and farther away. Um, you know, and you don't need 500K a year to fall into this. You know, that's really how I'm going to bring this back to resale. Okay, you don't need to be earning 500K and be part of the 1%, okay, to feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, there's people at all different spectrums down below that are. Okay, but in as a business owner, what I see is that you feel this way because of a few minutes of scrolling. Uh, you open Instagram and another store owner is talking about their best sales day ever, a packed sales floor, a sold out clearance, you know, sale, and you close down. You look at your store and you're like, you feel like failure, and you're comparing your full picture to their highlight reel. You're comparing what you know, okay, in your picture to their highlight reel. You know, you're comparing your backstage, okay, what you know, what happens on the other side, like what's happening now, like what's happening on the other side of the camera. I'm talking on the other side of the camera right now. I'm talking over here. You can't see me. You can't see me. But when I come around here, you can. You're comparing your backstage. You're comparing what happens that you know behind the scenes in your world to their sold out rack, to their best sales day ever, to their packed sales floor, to the caption that they came up with that was probably AI generated. They probably didn't even write it. Okay? What you don't see is how much they really made, the markdowns that they took, the week's payroll stress. Okay? And whether that super sale that they threw is really just covering a rough month. okay, or paying last month's bills. So often, stores are using today's sales to pay yesterday or last week's bills, not tomorrow's bills. Think about that. They're using today's sales to pay yesterday's bills. And that's what you see on Facebook and Instagram. That's what you see on social, on the TikToks. That is the same thing that this Goldman Sachs study said of the one percenters. The one percenters have no money. They have nothing. They are an empty suit. They are an empty suit. Uh, Success isn't the biggest number. I talk about this all the time, and I'm working on a whole lesson. I'm doing up a whole lesson on your income statement and balance sheet. But so many people focus on the top number that they do. Okay, the top number. I want to do $100,000 in sales. I want to do $250,000 in sales. I want to do $1 million in sales. That's what they focus on. They focus on that top number. I can tell you, I have worked with so many stores, so many stores for so many decades now. Oh my God, the time I've done this. So many stores, so many decades. And, now we're talking about, okay, so many stores, so many decades. And as you look at that, I have worked with stores that are doing $2 million in sales that make less money than a store doing $200,000 in sales. Let me say that again. I have had stores that I have worked with doing over $2 million in sales, making less money than stores doing $200,000 in sales. It is not about the top number. It is not about that big number. Unless you're so vain, you probably think this song is about you, don't you, don't you? Unless you're that, okay? Unless you're that, and I'm not doing Carly Simon any justice there, okay? Unless you're that, okay? The bottom number is what matters. The bottom number, what's left after everything else. Uh, you know, but that doesn't get you on Instagram. That doesn't get you on social. If you posted that you had a profitable day, a slow profitable day, steady profitable day, that doesn't get the same feeling as a store doing amazing or the person saying they make $500,000 a year. It just doesn't have the same feeling. Uh, but you need to ask yourself, when do you feel behind because of another store's post? And do you actually know their real numbers? Their real numbers. Do you see their bank account? Are they showing you their bank statement? Hey, Jessica, how are you? And this works, Jessica, even with Canadian numbers. I'm just saying. And what would success look like if you defined it by what's left over? Not the top number, what's left over. Okay, because that's what matters. That is what matters. Okay, and so your goal this week is to track the number that actually matters. That is what matters. That is what matters. And actually look at your profitability. Look at it by the day. Look at it by the week. Look at it by the month. This is not something you should only look at tax time. Okay, so many stores only look at their P&L at tax time, and even then they feel poor. And we're going to talk about that more in my income statement and balance sheet lesson on why, your accountant says you owe taxes and you're like, I have no money. Your accountant says you made so much money, but you have no cash. And we'll talk about that. We will talk about that. The other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is record keeping. One of the things we talk about is for taxes and things is one of the questions I get a lot of times is how many years should I keep my records? How many years do I need to keep my records? Now, I usually say 5. Okay, I say 5 years is normal. The normal audit, okay, the IRS actually, the true legal is 7. The IRS or state tax authorities, when they do an audit, typically go back 3 years. They look for the same thing over 3 years. It's typically not just a 1 year audit. It's not just a one period. It's typically 3 years when they're doing an audit. And so that is the typical period, which 5 covers you. And typically they never go beyond 3 unless there is massive fraud, unless you have committed real egregious fraud. But they can go back as far as 7. They can go back as far as 7. But there is one exception. There's one exception that can take them to 10. And that is the year 2020. 2020 and really 2021, they can go back 10 years on that in the United States because Congress passed laws because of all the grant funding and all the other things that happened during COVID. They gave themselves a 10-year look back. So just be aware of that. Keep those records longer. The mayor of a Massachusetts city, the city of Lawrence, Massachusetts, just got arrested this week by the FBI for COVID fraud. So it'll be interesting to see how that all actually plays out. But it is a situation that is in process. It is in process. And you're going to see more of these things, okay? You're going to see more of these laws, arrests, and suits as fraud is uncovered. And his isn't even like a, I mean, a lot of the COVID lawsuits that we saw were millions and millions of dollars. I think his is just over $1 million. His is not, the accused, okay, at this point, it's just accused. The alleged infraction is just over $1 million, million and a half. And I'm not disputing that. That's real money. But that's why these records are so important from those years. Because, COVID in the rear view, 5, 6 years ago already. And the look back period is actually 10. The look back period on anything with that is actually 10 years. So just be aware of that in the back of your head. You know what else you need to be aware of? This video and everything I talk about, goes over to the YouTube channel. You're not alone running this store where you can like, comment, subscribe, and oh yes, ring the bell, ring it, so you know when another one drops. You can also share it with everybody you know in business, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, so we can help everybody run a better business. I am here every Sunday and Wednesday at More 8 Than Ish. Sunday and Wednesday at More 8 Than Ish. But if you have a question in between, just email me, Neil, N-E-I-L, at resalerise.com, N-E-I-L at resalerise.com. We start the program every night with our opening quote. Our opening quote tonight is, "Never miss a good chance to shut up," from Will Rogers. Our closing quote tonight is, "To accomplish great things, we must not only act, but also dream. Not only plan, but also believe." Ooh, I like that. Let me read that again. "To accomplish great things, we must not only act, but also dream. Not only plan, but also believe." That is from a French poet. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Neil Abramson. I do like a good party, a wedding, a bar mitzvah. We will party again. We got Labor Day coming up. Who knows? Lots of reasons to celebrate. But until then, and until Wednesday at More 8 Than Ish, know that you, but most importantly you, yes, you're not alone running this store. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you, yes, you, on Wednesday.